Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to do my record prediction right now, my early record prediction for the New York Jets. It's mid-May, right? So things are subject to change. I definitely plan on doing another one of these videos as we creep up closer to the season. But let's not waste time. Let's jump right into it. We got the San Francisco 49ers on the road, Monday Night Football, Week 1. I'm going to say the Jets lose this one. I think there's a chance that the Jets can start the year 0-1, unfortunately. Although if the Jets win this game, it would be a massive statement win against who I would say right now is probably the best team on paper that we play all year. I mean, talk about being in a good position. 1-0 to start the year. Next week at Tennessee Titans, and we just played the best team that theoretically we should play all year. You can argue Buffalo, but I think San Francisco right now, more well-rounded than the Bills, but I think realistically, just trying to keep it realistic, trying to be objective here, we start 0-1. Moving on to Week 2, Jets at Titans. I'm going to say it's a win. I like the direction that the Tennessee Titans are going in. I like Callahan. I like J.C. Latham. I like Calvin. I like Tony Pollard. They made a bunch of moves that I'm a really, really big fan of, but to be honest with you, it kind of shocked me. I thought the Titans were going to be in rebuild mode, but they kind of just went into reload mode, right? Just let's go out and spend a lot of cash. You're starting to look at the roster in its entirety. It's not bad. It's really not bad. And I'm interested to see how Will Levis progresses under Callahan, who helped develop Joe Burrow. So he knows a thing or two about how to develop a quarterback. He knows a thing or two about developing wide receivers. We've seen what the Bengals have done, for years now. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, obviously. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it could be closer than what people think when you just think Tennessee Titans and how they looked last year. But I do see the Jets coming out on top in this one. So 1-1 so far. Moving on, Week 3, Thursday Night Football, short week at home against the New England Patriots. I'm going to say it's a win. I think the Jets sweep New England this season. I just don't see Jacoby Brissett or Drake May with a rookie defensive coach that's, from top to bottom, a pretty young team offensively speaking. I love the New England defense, how they play, how violent they play. I do admittedly like New England and the players that they have defensively, but offensively, I just don't know if they have enough help on the O-line, and they're putting a lot of stock into the wide receiver position with young players, right? Got a couple of rookies that I would be excited about if I'm New England, but I just don't see them in a position right now to knock off the New York Jets, to knock off the Buffalo Bills, or even Miami for that matter. So Jets beat the Patriots at home here in Week 3, 2-1. Moving on, Week 4, another home game against the Denver Broncos. I'm going to say it's another win. Man, I got to be honest, I love Bo Nix. I think he's going to be really, really good. I think he's going to be super efficient. There were so many things that he did in college that just, it gets me fired up, right? Thinking of what he can potentially do at the next level with command of an offense, breaking down a defense, work habits, practice habits, leadership skills, working under center, deep ball accuracy, decision making, so many different things, right? Efficiency, mobility. I think he has an underrated arm and an underrated deep ball. But with that said, I still like the Jets at home here. It's not necessarily a West Coast team, but a Western, right, mountain team coming over to the East. I think I just feel like the Jets defense is going to be too much for the rookie to handle here in Week 4. But I do feel like Nix, from top to bottom this season, is going to look like the franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos, kind of in the same mold as, again, not a Herbert, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson type of quarterback, but I'm thinking more so around like that Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr type of QB, where they're in the middle of the road, but still above average. Okay, next up in London, Week 5, Minnesota Vikings. This counts actually as a Vikings home game here. I'm going to say it's a win. I don't like I do like the idea because I'm a Jet fan, but if I was a Viking fan, I just don't like the idea of J.J. McCarthy, a young rookie quarterback, or even Sam Darnold. I do feel like at this point in the season, though, it'll probably be J.J. McCarthy, but Either one of those guys going up against this Jets defense, I just think it's going to be too much. The pass rush with, I mean, man, you name it, Jermaine Johnson, Hassan Reddick, Will McDonald, trying to throw against DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. I just feel like the defense is going to be too swarming, too overwhelming for either quarterback that the Vikings roll out. So Jets win. Next up, Bills Monday Night Football in Jersey. This to me is like must-watch TV. Like, whether you're a freaking Bills, Jets fan, Saints fan, Broncos fan, whatever, you're going to be tuning into this game. This is going to be two, teams that are two heavyweights, in my opinion. And I want to say it's going to be so tough, but I think in the end, right, when we're looking back on the season, the Jets and the Bills will split with one another. I'm not buying that the Buffalo Bills are like this 7-win team, this 8-win team. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be just fine. I think they're first of all, they're well coached. They're going to have a top 5 defense with a top 2 quarterback. They're kind of reloading in a sense, but in my opinion, they're going to be changing their identity of the offense. I think Joe Brady is going to do an awesome job of firing the football up the seams, getting Dawson Knox, getting Dalton Kincaid the football. I know losing Stephon Diggs on paper is a tough pill to swallow for lots of Bills fans and what have you, like the mainstream media. But I really just felt like the Bills they kind of looked at the situation like, hey, you know what, we can get rid of a locker room headache. We can clear this Diggs contract. We can maybe move on a year too early and he can go have success with Houston. But we're going to open up the door for a bunch of young players to step in, whether that's a Keon Coleman, whether that's James Cook in the passing game. Khalil Shakir actually had a pretty underrated season for them. And then, of course, Curtis Samuel, who I feel like not a lot of people are talking about, definitely flying under the radar. But I got the Jets winning this game. I think the Jets at home, it's going to be too much. At the end of the day, this defense, for whatever reason, wrecks the mind of Josh Allen. Like, he just struggles against this Jets defense. He never looks like the typical like if you watch Josh Allen against pretty much any other team, I mean, he lights up Kansas City, he can light up Miami. He owns some franchises out there, not New York. Ulbrich really knows how to call a great game against Josh Allen, and I got the Jets winning here. So, to look at the first 6 weeks here, the Jets are on a freaking massive winning streak. Going into Pittsburgh in Week 7, Sunday Night Football, I'm going to say it's a loss. I think the Jets come back down to earth here. Pittsburgh at home on primetime is going to be a very difficult environment. I think not enough people are talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that the additions that this team made were brilliant. I think they added so much talent at major positions of need for not a lot of money, right? We can talk first and foremost about quarterback Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields were better than their starter, Kenny Pickett, a year ago, and they upgraded at two quarterback spots for what, like $2 million? Like, it was insane. Absolutely insane. You add Patrick Queen, right? You go out Peyton from NC State. You get 2 massive upgrades at the linebacker position. You double dip with O-line in rounds 1 and 2 with Fontenot and Zach Frazier. You're getting younger and better on the O-line. You also make an underrated trade. Yes, you lose Deontay Johnson, but you replace him with Roman Wilson from Michigan, and then you go out and the hidden kind of, not necessarily hidden, but the underrated player in that trade was Dante Jackson. Corner was a massive need. Help out the secondary for Pittsburgh was a massive, box to check, and I think the addition of Jackson will do that. So I think Pittsburgh is going to be a really fun team to watch this season. I do see them as a playoff team. And, of course, Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator. This is somebody who's going to pound the rock. He's going to run the football really, really effectively. So I think Pittsburgh has this one. But next up, Week 8 at New England. Another win here. Again, we're going to sweep New England. I feel pretty confident in that. I just can't envision New England beating really the Jets this season. I just, not to sound arrogant or anything like that, but just objectively, realistically speaking, I just don't see the talent from New England, not yet, at least. I think at time, another free agent class, another draft class, okay, but not right now. Next up, Houston Texans Thursday Night Football, and Houston is like the hot team, right? That's the team that you're seeing tons of Texans fans, tons of CJ Stroud fans. They go out and they sign freaking Daniil Hunter, and they acquire Stephon Diggs. They make all these moves. But I think in a primetime game, one thing to keep in mind about this game specifically, D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh play similar defenses. I think one thing that we do know, I have my criticisms with Robert Saleh, but the one thing that you can hang your hat on if you're a Jet fan about Saleh and Ulbrich, they can really make the opposing quarterback struggle. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes looked horrible against this Jets team a year ago. And I get it. It was last season. We held Justin Herbert in check. This defense is no joke. And when I think about Aaron Rodgers in practice going up against this Jets defense in training camp and whatnot, he's going to be able to find spots in the Texans defense to exploit them. Now, of course, the Jets have to withstand the Houston pass rush. But I think in the end, I'm going to trust Aaron Rodgers at home going really attacking this defense compared to CJ Stroud short week on the road going up against the Jets defense. I think I think MetLife is going to be rocking. Huge matchup, but I actually have the Jets winning this game. We're looking at the schedule. We're 7-2 through 9 weeks here. With the next two games, we got the Arizona Cardinals at Arizona, and then Colts at home Sunday Night Football. I do feel like the Jets will have at least one weird clunker this season, where we just are expected to win the football game and we just don't. There's some sort of confusion. We don't get up for the game. I think there's going to be one game like that this season. So kind of take your pick. Do you want to put that against the Colts, who could be a sleeper, or at Arizona? For me, I'm going to say the Jets lose against the Cardinals. I think the Jets are the better football team, but one thing about Arizona, they play really hard for Gannon. They never just lay down for the opponent. I could see this being a game where the Jets fly out to the West Coast and they just start off slow. There's just maybe a fatigue at this point in the season with all these wins, all these tougher games, right? Bills, Pittsburgh, Houston. I could see Arizona as like that weird clunker loss, but then we come back at home in primetime football and we knock off the Colts. Anthony Richardson, we keep him in check, but with both Richardson and Kyler Murray, we have to keep both of those guys in the pocket. That's the one area of this Jets defense that makes me nervous, along with stopping the run. But loss to the Cardinals, win against the Colts. By week 12, Seattle, I think we come back home and win. 2 weeks to prepare for a rookie head coach in Mike Macdonald against a defense that last season was not good at all. They're going to be undergoing a scheme change, and there's going to be a lot of different personnel on the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle could surprise some people this season. I think Macdonald is like the next young coach that everybody's going to get excited about. And I do feel like he will improve that defense, bringing over his exotic blitzing style. There's blitzes from all over the place. But I feel like the Jets are going to be too much at home. Moving on to another division rival here. We got the Miami Dolphins in Miami. I think, as much as I think Miami will take a step back this season, Miami always just plays the New York Jets really tough. Saleh is actually 1-5 against the Miami Dolphins since he's taken over. Mike McDaniel just really knows how to attack this Jets defense, right? Maybe it's because him and Saleh coached together over in San Francisco. There is familiarity there. But it always just feels like Miami has the leg up on the New York Jets. Now, as much as I absolutely hate to say that, this Jets team hasn't played with Aaron Rodgers against Miami yet. So obviously an absolute humongous upgrade at the quarterback position. Will that change this go round? I still feel as though we'll probably end up splitting with the Dolphins. Again, as much as I think that the Dolphins will take a step back this season, I do view Miami as kind of like an 8-9, 9-8 football team, but I'm going to give this one to Miami here down in Miami. Next up, Week 15 at Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an interesting one because the Jaguars have a lot of expectations this season. I mean, they should have won the division a year ago. I mean, it was like a shoo-in, right? Jacksonville's going to win that division. You got Indianapolis, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. Starting him out of the gate, is Anthony Richardson even ready to play? And all of a sudden, the Colts, not only just lose Anthony Richardson, they look freaking good. you get the Houston Texans. Everybody knows their story, right? Same deal. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud lights the NFL on fire. They end up winning the division, and Jacksonville just blew it. They flat out blew it in the end. They just go on this massive losing streak, and just talk about a disappointment. So I think Jacksonville's going to have a ton of pressure on them this season, and I was a big fan of Brian Thomas, their first round pick, but they lose Calvin Ridley. I don't know how to feel about Jacksonville. I kind of see a similar season playing out. I think the Jets end up beating Jacksonville here on the road. Nice road victory. Okay, so next up, we're back home in MetLife Stadium. Rams at Jets. And this one's tough because you kind of feel like with the LA Rams, yes, they're well coached. Yes, this team really knows how to draft. And I was a massive fan of their offseason. I think they're one of the winners of the offseason. Talk about a team that just made underrated move after underrated move, non-splashy types of moves. But moves that I feel like just fill in the cracks of the roster, right? Really building up the inside of the offensive line. Adding a guy like Cameron Curl at the safety position, Trey White at corner, right? Moves like that. Bringing back Robinson from Jacksonville. Just low key types of moves. For me, I kind of feel like the season just falls right on Matthew Stafford's shoulders. If he's beat up, if he's injured, if he has to miss a bunch of time, I don't know how I feel about the Rams winning that division. But I feel like if Stafford is healthy and he gets protection and the Rams are able to run the football, the Rams are going to be one of the better teams in the entire NFL. And Sean McVay does have a track record of coming to the East Coast prepared, right? His teams never really have that like jet laggy type of performance where, it's a LA based team and or West Coast team and they're coming out to the East Coast and they just look flat. For some reason, Sean McVay really knows how to prepare his teams for these types of games. I'm going to say this is going to be a shootout, but I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams could steal one at home, unless, of course, Matthew Stafford's beat up. But the way I'm looking at the schedule is I'm just going to assume everybody's 100% healthy just to make it easy, right? Because you can make that same argument, if you're a Rams fan. Well, if Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy, we like our chances, right? So I don't want to get down, this crazy hypothetical rabbit hole. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say that everybody's healthy here. The Rams win. Moving on, we got at Buffalo, Week 17. This is tough. This is a really tough one. I'm going to chalk it up to another loss here. I think, again, we split with the Buffalo Bills because I had the Jets beating Buffalo early on. I think the Bills at home in what could very well be a must-win game for them, a game that could potentially decide the outcome of the AFC East. I see them, late into the year here, getting this victory, unfortunately for us. And then last but not least, at home, MetLife Stadium against the Miami Dolphins again. I'm going to say it's a win, right? I had the Dolphins beating the Jets earlier when they were in Miami. Now the Dolphins travel to the colder New Jersey. I see the Jets winning this one. So our total projected record here is 11-6. 11-6, with the bulk of the wins coming early on in the season. And then, we kind of peter out here and there. But I think 11-6 is totally realistic, according to this kind of, schedule preview here, or schedule rough prediction. The Jets go, again, 11-6, but 4-2 within our own division. I think that's going to be good enough to get this team to the playoffs. If you're telling me that 11, I understand the AFC is stacked, but if 11 wins can't get you into the playoffs, talk about like potentially the greatest year ever in recorded history for the AFC, right? Where, like, mathematically speaking, can that even happen, right? I don't think so. I think the Jets have a great chance of making the playoffs this season. We better make the playoffs. Realistically, again, 11 wins. I could maybe see 10 wins as the floor for this team, but I could also see going, the other way and seeing potentially 12 wins on the high end. So for me, 11-6 is my record prediction. As of right now, we'll see it. Look, if the Jets sign Justin Simmons, right, that maybe that changes the narrative a little bit. If, word comes out in training camp that Matt Stafford gets hurt and they're rolling with Jimmy G, maybe the record prediction looks a little bit different. So, or differently. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, go Jets.